you have done RE framework projects, you have done use cases also, and you have ran them, and then you have also completed some learning on advanced features. So I want to know from you people, like if we want to deploy any RPA project, what can be the phases of that RPA implementation? Can any one of you tell me any phase, like this is where it starts, then this is what happens, and then this is the development, and then what all phases, what all things we have in the RPA implementation process? Anyone can tell me?
Yeah, so the first phase is what we try to discover what the problem is all about, because we have to see whether that process can be automated or not, or uh, what is the automation pipeline that is followed, or the process that we do using this task capture feature available on UiPath. And after that, you have to do the process mining, which checks whether we have if you have systems like SAP and other things, you have to see the process will switch into different applications, how much time it takes, how many users at a time uses that factors should be considered. And then only you get into building that bot. That is what task app build phase is all about. And after that, you have to manage, like you have to deploy it in the orchestrator or the cloud and check whether how it's acting and catch the business exceptions that it does. And then you have to run it, and finally you will test it and deploy it with the business users.
Yeah, Sagar, I think before, like at the time of deployment, we have to configure our robot, machine, and environment also.
Yeah, that is
According to
also
the
right. That is also one step in the implementation. What other you think? Like Anjana was so close to defining the entire process, but we also have some more aspect of that process. So what do you think? What strategically how we can plan the implementation? That is what we are going to learn today. And what will be the activity that we are doing? What are the sub activities? Then what are the how we define the timeline, start date, end date? Who is the stakeholder in that? And then what is the actual status of that activity? So we are going to gather all the information, and we are going to present this plan before implementing this entire process, so that business can have an idea as how much time that implementation can take and how many resources does it will it require. So yes, anyone else? Balaji?
Yes, Sagar. So for any process, we just have to start with design, development, and testing. So in
Okay.
design, yes. So in design, we need to have process assets to be, which is PDD and solution design. And when it comes to solution design, we need a solution architect. And then to development, we just need some project requirements like robots and other kind of applications which we are going to use. And like implementation timing, so the project duration, so and it has to be deployed to the production before yes then so to implement in the production, we just need to test what we have done in coding. So that's it: design, development, and testing, and deployment to production.
Design, development, testing, and deployment. Yes, that is absolutely right. But before designing also, there are some phases that take place. So uh, with all of your answer, if I combine all of them, how this entire implementation works: we understand the process, we set up the environment, then we collect the data for testing, and for after development we have to start with the UAT. So we collect all the data. Then after everything is finalized, we document everything. Like in the process understanding part, we create process definition documents. In the bot environment setup phase, we prepare checklist basically to make sure that environment setup is done. We have all the applications required for running that process on the development also. And we make sure that the applications or the environment ready for production also. So we make sure that. Then after that, we go to the once the environment is set up, we go to the solution designing. We go to the actual documentation of SDD, like solution design document. We create that document also. We take approval at each stage. We make sure that business gives us approval. Even our leadership team also gives us approval on each stage, and we have that documented properly. If that is not documented or approved, we do not go ahead. So once the solution designing and SDD creation and that part is done, then your team lead or your project manager or your technical lead, they assign those small parts to your individual team member, and they work on that part. Like one login workflow will be, let's say, work by Jitendra. One navigation workflow will be looked by Anjana, and then Balaji will take care of some processing workflows, and then reporting part will be taken by, let's say, Rajneesh. And then different part of that process will be taken by each senior and associate developers. And then at the end, when they are ready with their entire development process, the lead or the technical lead or their own lead, they will integrate everything into one framework or in the design. Then they will run entire those integrated workflows together, and they will make sure that it is working as per the requirement, it is giving the output. Now once that is done, it will be given to the clients. Our RPA team, development team, or technical leads or project manager will sit with them. Then the UATs come, user acceptance stage. So there might be one cycle of UAT, two cycle of UAT, there might be three cycle of UAT. So after each cycle of UAT, there can be some modification, bug fixation and all, which will require another UAT cycle. So unless and until UAT is done, like the user accepts that, okay, this automation is giving me the required output, till that point, the deployment doesn't happen. So once the UAT is done, now the actual deployment starts happening. So your code is then moved to the production. From there, we put the schedule actually in the orchestrator that, okay, 12 p.m. every day or once in a week or once in a month, this should work. So we put the schedule accordingly, and once we're done with the scheduling, it runs in the background, and then your entire team, along with the business users, observes or monitors that process for, let's say, 1 week or 2 weeks. Now this entire process of monitoring is called as hypercare period, wherein you have to go, provide a support instantly. Like there should not be any delay in the support, because it's live now, and any loss in the processing of anything will have a huge cost associated with it. So there will be a dedicated support team for this hypercare period. And once there is a hypercare period is done, or let's say a smoke testing period is done, the process is live. And then the last phase of this is project sign off. We get the project sign off, and after that, even the project sign off is done, till its life, like the entire lifespan of that project, there can be some modifications, there can be some changes, which comes in the form of change request. So you business user or your client can ask you for some change request, some modification in the UI, can also give you some change request or anything. So this change request, they come and go. They come, you approve the change request, you again, for the change request, you start solution designing, you start understanding, then you start development, you start UAT of that. So for every change request, the entire cycle follows, but the process will be smaller one, like it will not be a huge project. So today we will try to build such a implementation plan on a, let's say, small Excel for your understanding, and we will try to include all of the major phases of that implementation, so that you get an idea of how things happen in the implementation and who all are involved in each phase of that implementation. So this is going to be kind of a learning and understanding session. Practical might be less, but you are going to get a good learning from it. So, and when this is going to be useful, when we will give you some process, when you sit with some process owner and they tell you your process, you have to come back to us with the implementation plan. Okay.
Okay.
Guys, am I audible?
Yes, Sagar, you are audible.
Yes, sir.
But no questions from your side, no inputs. Did you all understand what I mentioned about the implementation?
Yes, I understood.
Yes,
Understood.
Sagar.
So
Yes.
now we are going into how we define every phase and then how we build that implementation plan. So it's not like I'm going to bring the implementation implementation plan on the screen and show you like these are the component and these are the XYZ things, but we are going to build it. So you all are going to see that with me. Let me know once you all are able to see my screen. You all see it?
Yes, Sagar.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So we are just going, in a normal Excel, and then we are going to build it together. Okay. So first of all, I will assign one column of serial number, that so that we will get idea of, we will have a phase number over there, and then we are going to have phase, like what phase we are going to have in that implementation. Then let's say for a very basic thing, we are going to have a phase. Let's say stakeholders. So who are going to be involved in this phase, and then we are just simply going to have a start date of that phase, like when are we going to start, and then we are going to have a end date of that stage, end date of that phase, and then we are going to have the status. So this is how you start building a simple implementation plan. Okay. Let me check who is in the lobby. Okay, fine. Okay, so let me just format them properly so that you all can see it. Now we are having serial number, that is a phase number, phase, who all are going to be the stakeholders, what will be the start date, end date, and then what is going to be the status. Okay. So first of all, when we start implementation of RPA project, there will be a like we will be going ahead with the POC first of all, right? So for POC, there will be different plan altogether, and there will be different what I can say. It will be handled differently. What we are seeing now is the actual project implementation plan. So this is post POC, I can say. So in POC, as we saw, we understood some small part of process from business user, and we tried to develop something, and then we showed it back to the customer or client. So ideally, it was not a big process. They expect generally that for a POC, you should not take more than, let's say, a week or two. At least, minimum a week should be fine for the POC, and get back to us with one whatever you are developing in a week, so that we can see and we can finalize whether it is working or not. So once that is done, POC is accepted, then we come to actual project implementation plan. So we are here with the actual implementation plan, which happens after approval of POC. So after approval of POC, what happens generally is, in POC we understand small part of process. Now here we have to understand a bigger part of process, like entire process from start to end. So what we do over here is, we first of all understand the entire process, right? You all can join me in this discussion, and you can put your points also. So first phase is of process understanding. Am I right? You all agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we understand the process. Now, in the process understanding, who all are involved? So first of all, RPA team is involved in this, and then along with that, business
Business
users are
analyst.
involved, right?
Yes.
Correct. So these two stakeholders are involved over here. Now, along with business users and RPA team, there might be some other team members that may come or go, but these two stakeholders need to be there in any case. So there can now we have a started and ended, and we also have one more thing over here is which I forgot to add, which is number of days, number of working days. This also is required to make sure that we give good number of days to that phase, and then we have the status. So process understanding. Generally, if we see for any low complexity process understanding, it takes around 2 to 3 days. Medium level processes to understand that process and understand every bit of it, it takes around 3 to 5 days, or let's say 1 week. If there are complex processes, the process understanding can go from 1 week to 2 week to 3 week to 4 week. Like even a month is also less for a complex process understanding, because it has many business users. It can have a 10, 20, 30, 50 business users, 100 business users. So it can have a depending on the complexity of process understanding timeline changes. Like it can be done, as I said, it can be done in a 2 3 days or 1 week or 1 month also. So depending on that, we assign a number of working days, and then we assign the start date and end date accordingly. So let's say we have one process. Let's say we have the process that we discussed for first POC, which is confirmticket.com. So for that kind of a process to have that understanding, usually 1 day is enough. You go to the business user and you understand the process, and then you ask all the questions and get the queries answered. So let's say if that has to be that had to happen, what we will do, we will book a call with the we will book an appointment, or we can schedule a meeting with business users, and from there the understanding will happen. So let's say our start date is today for this, and we give 2 days, right? 18 April 22, and it will be completed by 19 April 22. Number of working days to status is pending. We will assign status as pending. So this is going to be our first phase of RP implementation. Now in this phase, we are having some what I can say sub activities also. So in the sub activities, what we will have is, first of all, we will connect with those business users, and we will we will question them on their process, how this happens, what are the logics that you are applying, what are the exceptions that are coming, and how these formulas are applied, or how is the process flow and everything. So in the sub activities, you can say you have all those question answer sessions, and then you create documentation also, which is process definition document. And then when you prepare that documentation, like
STD.
PDD, here we are going to have a PDD over here, which is process definition document, and we put all the details of that process into process definition document, and then we get a sign off from that user. So sign off is very important over here. Unless and until business user gives you sign off that okay, whatever a process you understood and whatever data you have got into that PDD is absolutely right, this is exactly what we do, and we are not missing anything. So that sign off is absolutely important over here. So if I have to write down over here, let's say we have a QA phase over here, QA sub activity, and then we have PDD creation and sign off. So all understood this?
Sagar, sign off means taking a confirmation from the business user, like all your requirement has been considered.
Exactly. Everything, all your requirements, all your business logics, all the output that you want, everything is considered over here, and we are not missing anything.
And if the customer user wants something to change, then it's the last step. I think if he want to change something, add something. After sign off, I think is not allow you are able to change?
After sign off, generally it is not allowed. Like 99% of cases, it's not allowed. But depending on what is the complexity of change, is it just like you have to click over here and they tell you that no, please click over here instead of this. It's a small change. You can go to one activity, change the selector, and that is done. So by the mutual understanding and a mutual agreement, they can do that. Actually on the ground level, things are not just as per the plan. Things are,
like a big conditions are not considerable that change the PDD.
Correct. In 99% cases, it doesn't happen. It is not allowed. In 100% cases, ideally, it's not allowed. Once you've done the sign off, you are not allowed to make any changes. That is why we give them ample amount of time to do the sign off. We give them, let's say, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days time, so that they can come back to us and tell us, okay, everything is fine. There are no things left now. But apart from the plan, if you have a good bonding with the client, and if you are good sharing some good connections with them, if mutual understanding is good, then even though we miss something in the PDD, we add them later, even if it's not allowed. You understand that?
Oh, yeah.
Got it?
Yeah, got it.
Yes, sir.
Now, what happens is when the process understanding is going on, and you are getting to know that, okay, for this confirm ticket process, I need a Google Chrome, I need Excel, I need one machine or a VM. I might need your email credentials. I need all these details, right? So parallelly, you start gathering all those details, or parallelly, you start building your bot environment. So here, that stage or that phase is called bot environment setup. And why this is important and why we are taking it over here, because before development, we want our things to get ready so that we can directly go and start development. We need UiPath Studio, we need orchestrator, we need robots, like we need licenses. Then, as I mentioned, we need one machine, a local like a system or a VM. Then we need applications inside that. Let it be Chrome or Excel or Word or anything, any applications that we need for process. So while we are understanding the process, parallelly bot environment setup will go on. And who will be responsible for them? For that, obviously RPA team will be responsible. Business users will be responsible, because they will tell us what all applications are required. Business IT team is required, so that they will help us with all these applications and VMs and everything. They will help us to install and get everything ready. Along with that, in the RPA team, the main role over here is RPA infrastructure engineer. Understood? Yes. From RPA team, whose responsibility is mainly, can anyone tell me in BA, who will be the responsible, what will be the responsible role in RPA for process understanding?
Business analyst.
Exactly. So here, the main person who is going to be involved with all the business user to understand their processes, business analyst. So here, if you see, we are also segregating all the stakeholders depending on their roles and responsibilities. So in case of process understanding and PDD and everything, business analyst will go with they will go to your business users, and they will create all those PDDs and everything, and they will understand all. In case of bot environment setup, again, your infra engineer along with business users and their IT team, they will set up all your infra. And along with the infra engineer, there will be some role of your technical lead, because technical lead will tell you what should be the configuration required for the process, what should be, I mean, everything regarding all that. What version of UiPath Studio you need, what maybe some other licenses that you need. And also here we will have those stakeholders. Now in bot environment setup, again, as I said, VM setup, or let's say a machine setup, that we will require, right? Then we will require all the UiPath setup, because we are building this on UiPath, not just UiPath, but any RPA tool app, for that matter, let's say RPA tool setup, right? UiPath or RPA tool setup. Then we will require process application setup, correct? All the process applications need to be there. Then we will require all those credentials, and if we are going to work on their VM or we are going to work on their machines, we require all the what I can say access details, correct? Everyone is with me? Understood? Everyone is understanding this?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Properly, like no confusion, right, over here?
No, Sagar.
No.
So this is
No.
this will happen parallelly. So when we are going to start process understanding on the same day, we can start our bot environment setup, and this can take, depending on again what is the response of your response of business IT team. We know that in some organizations IT team respond, or they have a really quick of what I can say services and all. And in some organizations, due to number of requests or XYZ reasons, there is they take some time to respond and set up all these things. So depending on that, they take around 1 week to 2 week time, uh, all the considering all the factors. So let's say in our case we need one VM, like for this confirm ticket process. We need one VM, we need UiPath setup, we need application setup, we need all credentials and all. So by considering that, let's say it will take max, it will take 5 days. So if we start with 18th April, then 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So by 22nd April, our environment setup should be completed. Everyone with me here?
Yes, sir. One doubt.
Yes.
So pending is like the process is still on transit, it will get complete. So what if we decide this process is not required, or that is not going to happen, the project is shifted for 1 to 2 months after, then will, is there pending and completed, or the only action states on the status column, or any other thing is there?
Over here, right?
Yes, sir.
It's pending. There are, let's say there are a couple of statuses over here. One is pending, that means it is not started yet. Okay. Second is in progress. So once it starts, it is in progress. Third one is completed, like it's done. And fourth one is like whether it's hold or it's cancelled. So we can have these kind of statuses over here. At the start of the plan, it will always be pending, or you can say not started or yet to start. It depends, like what status your business user want, or what status your leaders want, or what how you present it even more uh, with even more clarity. It depends on your entire understanding and all. Okay,
Yes, sir.
everyone with me
Yes, Sagar.
Yes.
now?
Yes.
We are understanding the process, and bot environment is also getting set up parallelly. The team individually is working with, like business analyst is working on process understanding, infra engineer and tech lead, they are working on environment setup. And at the same time, we are also gathering some data. This data we will require for the development. This data we will require for testing also. And with this data only we will move ahead. If we do not have a data to test, then there is what I can say, no meaning of going ahead, right? So let's say if you are reading something from Excel and you are putting it into some payroll system, if they don't give you that Excel, what you will read, right? If you have some what I can say, you have to like from the confirmticket.com, if you have to find the least travel or the highest travel time, or a least fare and the highest fare, and what will be the departure and arriving times, if nobody gives you that data, what you will develop on, right? So creating a data, like gathering all that data is again one of the very important phase in RP implementation. which generally is overlooked, which is like they directly start with the development, and they in between they have to stop because they don't have a data to go ahead. So collecting this test data and UAT data is also one of the very important phase. So we can say that test development, oh, sorry, I can say that development and UAT data. So gathering this data is again an extremely important part. So all the development data we need over here, development data, development files, development whatever it is, right? And then we also need UAT data and UAT files and whatever UAT data, UAT files, any other important data. We need all these things. Now here to collect all this data and everything, again from RPA team, your tech lead, they can be tech lead or your PM, they can come into the picture and they can connect with the business user and gather all this information. Apart from this, we have business users over here. And yeah, that's it. I think we do not need any more people over here. RP team, tech lead and business users. Now, once you are having a process understanding and bot environment, again, parallelly, you can start getting all this information. So, and this can also take around 5 days, depending on whether your business users are having any work with them or if they are quick enough to respond and all. So, depending on that, we give them time. So, anyway, our environment will be ready by 22nd. So we give them some time, let's say till 22nd, to give us the data. If we get it before that, then it's fine. But we just don't want to give them one day and they come back to us with any data. Let's say just to fulfill request. So we give them time, right? Anyone having any questions till now? Anyone?
Sagar, what is UAT means?
User acceptance test.
Okay.
It's user acceptance test. That means user have accepted your data, your process or project. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Now, one thing is here in the first phase, we are done with the PDD sign off. Similarly, in the second phase of bot environment setup, we need sign off over here. What kind of sign off? We will have a checklist. Okay, this application is installed, tick. This machine has the required configuration, tick. These credentials are there, tick. UI path is set up, done. Orchestrator, robot, studio, all these things done, tick. So you will have a kind of a checklist over here, which is called as, let's say, environment setup sign off, or you can say environment setup checklist. So you will also need to get an approval over here from your infra engineer that, okay, all the setup is done and you have that sign off. So I will add one thing over here that says environment setup sign off. And one more thing over here is data received or data, let's say data received sign off. So at every stage, what we are making sure is we are getting all the required information and we are also getting all the approvals required. These all the approvals and everything will be on the email, and there will be proper documentation of all these things, and then only we move ahead. If we do not give environment, if we do not get environment sign off, we don't go ahead with the development because we don't have environment ready, right? If we don't have a development and UAT data, we don't go ahead with that, right? Everyone with me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
What can be the next phase?
Solution design.
Solution designing. Anyone else?
CM solution framing or creating that pipeline, as I said before.
Okay. What else? Come on. Need some more answers. I want you people to think and just say whatever you have in your mind. Nobody is over to judge you or um, whether to say that okay, what kind of doubts you are answering or what are the things you are saying. It's not like that. So whatever is there in your mind, you can tell. Rajnish, is it Rajnish or Rajnish?
It's Rajnish, sir.
So what do you think? What can be the next phase?
I think so. After the development phase, we should test it with the user.
No, we have not developed anything yet.
So now next is the development process, because we have environment, we have data, and now we have to process. We have to design the process and then test the inputs and the outputs.
So we have to design, right?
Yeah, because of our primary requirements has been completed. Like we have the system, we have software, we have customer requirement.
Okay, good.
Now
Sakshi,
the
what do you
next,
think? Sorry, Jitendra. Hey, turn on your cameras, guys. I'm just seeing some alphabets over here. Sakshi, what do you think? Balaji, where is Sakshi? What is she doing?
Hello.
Yeah, Sakshi. Oh, sorry. Did I mute you? My bad. Oh my God. I was trying to ask you for unmute.
Sir, am I audible?
Yes. Now you're audible.
Sir, yeah, that's what I'm telling. The designing phase.
Designing. Okay. So all of you agree with the designing, or anyone wants to have a different phase? Everyone, do you all
Yes.
agree that we should have a design phase over here?
yeah, Sagar,
See,
I'm agree.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm agree.
Yes.
I'm agree.
Yes, Sagar.
all of you
Yes. I think we have covered all the things in the last three
covered all
phases.
the things, right? Babu, what do you say, Babu, JJ? Babu, Babu is not
Sir,
support team now.
sir, we have to first think about the what is the problem. After that, we have to design, sir.
Yes, that is right. So I think everyone is agreeing that now we have to design something, right? So yes, that is actually right. So we know the process, we have setup ready, or is the setup is in progress, let's say, and data, we are also gathering the data. So now we start with the solution designing or solution architecture. Solution, we can say solution or process designing. So here what we do, we first of all create a solution design. Okay, and then in this solution design will be part of SDD. SDD is nothing but the solution design document, and we will also have SDD creation, and we will get the SDD sign off. Now who all are will be involved over here? So here from RPA team we will have a solution architect, and we will have a tech leads. Okay, and that's it. Maybe a project manager. Project manager is everywhere in this entire implementation. And at this moment in the solution designing, we do not include business users as of now, but we include them in the sign off. So I can say that here we will have all of this, or let me mention it over here. We will have a majorly we will have a internal RPA team work over here, and then we will have a business users just for the sign off. We will require them only for the sign off. Okay. So here in the process understanding, in environment setup, in data gathering, their contribution is more. Business user has a more contribution over there, and their involvement is more. But in case of solution designing, the more contribution is from the RPA team, wherein the solution architect and tech leads, they will design the solution and business users will give this sign off. Now, unless and until we understand the process, we cannot start solution designing. So can anyone tell me in this case, what can be the start date of solution designing?
After the PDD has been signed up, we can start.
Yes, exactly, right. After PDD is signed off or after the process understanding is completed. So on the 19th April, our process understanding is done and we can start our solution designing or process designing from 20th April. And let's say we can give from 20th April, we can give, let's say, 1 2 3 days till Friday, we can give that much time for the solution designing. So if you see here, how we are designing or developing this plan is, we are parallelly approaching all the activities. So from 18 to 22, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, in just 5 days, we completed 4 phases. You understood why the planning is very important over here and how what I can say, thoughtfully or tactically we are designing the plan. It's not like you are done with process understanding on 19th, then you start the bot environment on 20, then you take 5 days, after that you take more 5 days, after that you take more 3 days. That way you will you may require, let's say, 2-3 weeks to complete these phases. But in this case, when we are parallelly approaching all these phases and every role in the RPA team is engaged with the business user, all these phases can be completed in let's say 5 days. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Any questions? No. Now,
No.
who can tell me what are the different type of robots we have?
Attended, unattended, and semi-automated,
Okay,
or
good,
a hybrid thing.
good. That's good. Who can tell me what is attended and what is unattended? Except Anjana.
Attended
Attended
robots
bot.
have a human intervention, and the unattended is like without things is going.
That is fine, Jitendra. Like that is what Anjana also said. Like I want example. Like, can you give me one example of attended and unattended?
All the use cases that we built is attended.
They are attended.
Yeah, because it involves human trigger.
No.
So attended contains user interaction.
Okay.
Unattended robot can run without human intervention. Yes, like that. Same.
Yes. So the confirm ticket bot that we built, it is unattended bot. Even though it waits for the human input, still it is unattended. Unattended is because after getting the input, it runs on its own. It doesn't require any trigger. What I can say, it doesn't. In between that process, there is no human involvement. Once it receives from and to, from that moment till the completion, there is no human involvement required, right? We do not what I can say add any steps in between, or we do not provide any other information in between. It works on the background on its own after getting the information, like from where and to you have to travel. So that is unattended bot. What is attended bot is, let's say you have any process which can only be triggered by a human, or which you cannot run it in the background because uh, let's say that application time is not stable, or the input is not something that uh, you can dynamically pass, something that human, after creating that input, then and then only you can run the bot. So in that case, that is attended. Human intervention is required to run the bot, and input from human is required to run that bot, or maybe some logic or some calculations is required from the human side to feed that bot, and then bot can run, and in between also some input from the human is required. So that is attended. Understood? So whether your bot should be attended or whether it should be unattended or whether it should be semi-attended or semi-unattended, all that designing and development has to happen in the solution designing phase. So that is the reason why I asked you. Then how many number of robots do you require? Like if you automate from let's say 10 minutes, your bot can perform that in the 2 minutes, and your one bot can do let's say 400 items in a day, but total number of items to process in a day is let's say 1000. So how many robots you require? That all the things you have to understand, and you have to design that in the solution designing phase. Understood? When it should be triggered, what should be the parameters and all, who should get the output, what should happen when the exception occurs. Let's say if the login is failed, credentials are not right, or while the processing, if Excel is not received or email is not received, if processing is completed, who should receive the email. So all these things goes into your SDD. Understood? Everyone?
Yes, Sagar.
Yes.
Understood.
Any questions?
No,
So
sir.
in 5 days, if you see the total, the number of days actually that you have worked is 15, but you completed that all the work from 18 to 22, right? Now what can be the next phase? You are ready with the solution, you are ready with the environment, you are ready with the data. Now what can happen?
You have to deploy.
Implement.
Sorry?
Implement the design part.
Implement the design. Okay, what else?
Quality
Deploy.
check.
Sorry?
Quality check.
Quality check. How?
QA assurance like that.
I cannot see your face, man. Come on, come on, come on. Need answers, guys. You want to learn or not? I want you to start thinking. I want you to
Yes.
get into that zone that you
Yes.
are doing it. It's your responsibility, man. You are going to design and develop your implementation plan. So think what can happen next.
Yes. Any kind of assurance from internal quality team.
Okay, good one. I think the more you think, the more you what I can say, polish your brain, you are going to add some more values into it. What others think? What will be the next phase?
Uh, I think maybe deployment comes in between this assurance. I think after deployment, then this checking will happen, because then only you will know how it will run.
Okay. Okay, good one. What about others?
So once we have the solution design with us, then we would be able to see more where we can have more possible exceptions and handle them accordingly.
Okay. Okay, close.
Testing.
Testing. Okay. Sakshi, good one. What about others? Sushant, Shashikant, survey.
Testing in pre-production environment like QC or development environment.
Okay. That is also fine. What else? Think on it. Think on it.
So testing
Production
and
and condition
how to explore in more easy
testing.
way.
Sorry,
Confirming the
Shashikant.
result.
So testing and how to take in more easy way.
Okay.
The reconfirmation of the result thing.
Okay.
The check
Fine.
stability, whether the project is running properly or not.
Okay, but have we done the development? Have we developed something in studio till now?
No, sir.
So when that should happen? When are you going to create your process, actual process? When are your
After the
developers are going to work?
After we have the SDD ready.
Okay. So what should be the next phase?
Development.
start development.
Okay, we have to build.
Development.
So you all reached post development and post build, but we have to build something to test, right?
That's what I told in the beginning, no, implementation.
We told
Implementation
implementation.
and development are different things, but you are close.
We told implement in the design.
You are close, actually. You are close.
Okay, sir.
So see, we have process understood. We have environment setup ready. We have solution ready. We have data also. Now we have to start developing, right? Unless and until we develop something, how we are going to test it? How we are going to implement it on the production environment? So as of now, we have not reached to the stage where we can make it live. At this stage, we are ready with all the guns and what I can say, everything just ready to fire. You got all the approvals, you got the design ready, you have data, and you have all the playground ready to play. Now what you have to do, you have to go and play. Now you go into the studio and start developing actual process. Unless and until you reach this stage, you don't start development. Because if you start development without design, if you start development without understanding your process properly, you will have to rework on that if something changes, or there can be severe implications. You may lose your working hours, working days. You may lose the billing. You may lose your entire development also. Maybe design can change entirely. So unless and until you get all the approvals and you reach this stage, your development does not start. Not even a single activity is developed in the UI path. Everyone understood this?
Yes, sir.
So in
Yes, sir.
actual project, before beginning the development, before going into UI path and start working on it, these are the phases that happens before that. And all the team members, business users, and everything is involved into this, and they put lot of efforts to get all the approvals on all these things. Okay. And you can also see that in the stakeholders, till now, we do not have a developer role assigned yet. It's only BAs, infras, tech leads, architects, and PMs. The developers are not into the picture yet. So now we actually start with the development. So this phase is like actual development in dev environment, which is a developer environment. This is development is there. So what we do, we develop all the workflows. Okay, we develop all the workflows in UiPath. Then we do the testing, like say those workflows testing we do, individual testing and debugging. One second, let me see. She is. Then we develop all the workflows, we test them, we debug them, we add all the exceptions handling, all the exceptions, we add reporting structure development and all. So basically at this stage, what happens, let's say you have a confirm ticket process. In confirm ticket process, let's say we have a login part. Then we have a, let's say, email extraction part. then we have a search part, and then we have a reporting part. So there can be team of 4 developers to whom we can assign these individual parts. They can develop it on their local studios. They can test it, and then once these are tested individually, we can combine them in a framework, and then together, the entirely we can test them. So here, along with the development, we are also going to have not here, but we will have a separate phase for that, small phase, just to test everything together, and that is called as integration testing. So who all are involved over here from RPA team? So from RPA team, now here we have tech leads, here we have developers, here we have a solution architects also, so that they keep eye on what is being developed. And then PM is everywhere. Basically they hold daily and weekly meeting to check where we stand, how much we have completed, and whether we are lagging or not. Everything is controlled by the project manager. So if you see, we are completing our solution designing on 22nd April. So we can go ahead and start that from the next Monday, which is 25th April. And for this, we can give, let's say, 10 days of time. So I can say by the next Friday, by 2019, it will get completed. Number of days, 10, and the status will be pending. Everyone understood this development part?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
See, we are going in a sequence, and I hope that the implementation is getting clear in your mind, that what comes after what and what are the steps that you have to follow. Right?
Yeah, clear.
Clear? Everyone? This is what you
Yes,
have to do. This is what you will be building. You have to develop your own project plan when we assign you the projects. You have to assign number of days. You have to assign start date, end date. Then who all are going to be involved. Let's say if we have a team of 5, then in the team of 5, one has to take a role of BA, one has to take a role of solution architect or solution design, one has to take a role of, let's say, tech lead. Then you all will be developers. So you all will have that responsibility with you. So when I say that you have to take a role of BA, that doesn't mean that only you will work on the BA part. Everyone will work on the BA part, but it will be your responsibility as a BA to submit as PDD and get it signed. Understood? So let's say we have some 5 people in a team, and let's say Jitendra is doing the BA part, then it is the responsibility of Jitendra to get the PDD ready and sign off. If let's say Anjana is working on solution designing, it's her responsibility to get the SDD ready and get the design and the sign off from the business users. Understood? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
definitely.
Okay, fine. Now, once everything is developed in the small parts, we have the process integration and testing. So what happens over here is process integration and testing. So whatever all the developers have built, so all of that built workflows and all of those part will be integrated together in the framework. Like in RE framework, you people worked on the advance. So in that calculate client security hash you submitted, right? So in that you created workflows, one for login, one for data extraction, one for getting the hash code, one for updating the hash code. So RE framework and these workflows. So your developers are working these workflows, and then they will be injected into RE framework. They will be added into RE framework, and you test entire framework now. That is called as integration testing and process integration and testing. And then you make sure that your project as a whole, the entire project from input to the output, is working absolutely correct over here. Okay. So I'll say it's again process integration. In this, I can say workflow integration. All the workflow integration. Then I can say framework, integration, all the things happen in the integration testing. Then again, testing and debugging part comes over here. You all know about the argument, right? So when you inject workflows into the framework, you pass the argument and all. So argument binding comes over here. So all of these things comes into the integration and testing. Again, same thing. Our RPA team, along with the developer, solution architects, and PM, everyone will be involved in this integration testing. In the integration testing, role of a developers will be less. The role of developers will not be huge over here, but the role of solution architect and tech lead will be more over here because they have to test the end-to-end solution. Understood? Every one of you?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Now, what we can do over here is, as one workflow is done, we can inject that into framework, get it tested. Second workflow is done, push that into framework, get it tested. So you can start this parallelly also, and you can start after development also. It depends on you. It depends on your experience. It depends on how good your team is. It depends on how well understood the process is, how straightforward it is, and everything. So you can start it parallelly also, and you can start it after the development done also. And in other cases, you can start in the midway also. So let's say if we are starting this on 25th, if we are starting this on 25th, we are starting in the 25th, right? And we have to, okay, we have given 10 days. So what should be the date over here, guys? Please correct me. Should be 6th May, right? Correct? 25th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It should be 6th May, right? Correct? We are talking about working
Yes,
days.
it's correct.
We don't want you people to work on weekends. So what we can do is, when the development is done half, let's say we are on the Friday, on Friday itself we can start on integration and testing and debugging, because by 22nd we expect that at least some workflows are developed. Understood? Right?
yes,
You all getting
Yes.
me? No,
Yes.
Yes.
not 22nd, by 29th. 29 April. We start this again. Let's say we can give this 6 to 7 days or 8 days. So let's say by 4th, not by 4th, but we start on 29. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6th, our development is completed by 6th. And then we can give 3 more days for integration testing. Because by 6th, we get all the things developed. And by the 6th, our integration testing is also like almost 50 to 60% done, because we have added some workflows into that. So let's say by 11th May, we can get all our integration testing completed. How many days we give? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 days we have given. So much. So you all are understanding this?
Yes.
Yes.
Guys,
yes, sir.
let me see your face.
Yes, sir.
Let me see your face. Are you all sleeping or enjoying?
Enjoying.
Are you getting something new, or is it something you already know?
New, sir. Totally new.
News.
Totally new?
Learning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Getting
Any
more
one of
deep.
you knew this before? How it's done?
Yeah, I have read about PDD and SDD, but I'm not aware about all the process.
So when we have to create PTD, when we have to create STD, and who creates
No, I
that?
no, I just only read what is PDD and what is SDD. That's it.
Yes. We know only the
It's like
concepts.
only definition.
Okay, all right. What about others?
I knew these in fragments, but the proper sequence or proper persons involved in it, I'm learning it now only.
So it's a new learning for you also, right, Anjana?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, for everyone, right? All of you can turn on your cameras and we can talk in between. I don't like to start and end like express and leave the leave every one of you behind. But let's keep on having this interactions in between so that I get to know whether you are understanding it or not, and whether you are enjoying this or not, or whether you are grasping it or not. That is absolutely important for me. So is there anyone who is like, oh, I don't know what's going on, what this guy is telling, it's all going over my head? Is there anyone like that? You can say, guys, that's not an issue. We all are learning over here. So if you are not understanding any part of this, we can discuss. That's not an issue. Anyone? Are we all good to move ahead?
Yes.
Right,
Yeah,
Vivek?
move
Yes,
ahead.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Sagar. Good to go.
Yes. Okay. So now we have done with the process integration and testing, and we have also tested the project as a whole. What do you think can be the next step or next phase? So now our project is ready at the development environment. What we should do next?
So deployment and user testing.
Okay, good. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, you can answer.
I guess it's deployment and maintenance phase.
Yeah, guys, tell me.
We can move this.
Testing
Sorry?
team.
What we can do next?
Yes, we have done development and internal testing and debugging, and now we will
So
be moving to testing.
we are going to the testing, but what kind of testing we are going into?
Unit testing.
Okay. Next.
Testing in pre-production environment like QC. Moving the project from dev environment to QC environment, and then after testing we can move it to production.
Exactly. So now at this stage, once we have the process developed, once we know that as a whole project it is working fine, and our leads have also confirmed that we are ready to show this to the clients or business users. Here comes the stage where we show business users what we have developed and whether whatever output you expected is coming from this project or not. So here we have a UAT phase. UAT as in, again, user acceptance test. User acceptance test. Now here we connect with users, and we run the process in front of them, and this happens on the UAT data. Again, we have two different data that we got. One was the development data, which we used in this space, development data. And then we are going to get a UAT data. UAT data is very close to the live data. That is the simulation of the live environment. That is very close to what the production is going to look like. Okay. So that is why we have a two separate data, development data and UAT data. And it will almost replicate the production environment, and you can simulate every situation of the production environment. You have to generate every exceptions from there and show them that every exception is being handled. So here again, in UAT, we connect with business users. We have UAT cycles. Let's say UAT cycle 1, and then we have a UAT cycle. It can be 1 or it can be 2. UAT cycle 1 and the UAT cycle 2. So in UAT cycle 1, we can have UAT cycle 1 and bug fixes, because whenever we are going to show them this is how we have developed and this is how it is working, this is what the output, in 95% cases user will say this is not right or that is not right, or they will come ahead with something else. Trust me, then that happens. So in 99% cases you will get some or the other changes in UAT. So what you will do, you will show them, let's say in the morning 10 a.m. you put a call with the customer, you have a UAT of 2 hours. At 12 o'clock you got all the changes. So in the rest of the day you will do all the changes, and then the next day you will again schedule a call with business user, and you have UAT cycle 2. And if the UAT cycle 2 goes well, they do not tell you any changes, you are ready to go ahead in the production. If they tell you any changes, again third UAT cycle comes into the picture. So till the time user accepts it and it says that okay, this is good now, I am fine with it, this is working as expected, you have to continually running all the UATs. So it can be 1 cycle, it can be 10 cycle, it can be 1 week, or it can be 1 month. It depends how. Now it goes back to your process understanding, how good your process understanding is done, how smart was your business analyst to get all the detail of the process, how a business analyst is going to ask the questions to the business user, how your business analyst is going to tell them that you keep this part out of your process, or if there is anything which business user is not what I can say, they forget to tell you something or they miss to tell you something, how your business analyst make them speak for their process. So it's all about that question answers and that understanding. So success of your UAT lies into your process understanding. If you understand process well, and if you have every bit of that process and you develop it right, you will not have more than 2 cycles of UAT. Understood?
Yes.
Everyone?
Yes, sir.
How this is linked back to your first phase? So generally what happens, your business analyst they do not get all the information, and then when the UAT is happening, your business users will say, oh my god, you have not developed this is not happening, you have not worked on this, we don't accept this, do the changes. Again you have to start developing the design, again you start the actual development, again you start integration. So this is a long process. So if you want to have a right implementation plan, if you want to execute it correctly, you need to start right, you need to understand all the parts correctly first of all. Okay, so I will say
Sagar, we can't complain to BA like you are not giving me that in PD.
we cannot, because that's our team only, right? We cannot fight with our teammates, and that happens. The developers and BAs never go hand in hand.
Yeah,
or
sometimes it happens.
that happens, when you go to any company and you start implementing process, you will understand all these things. But that's a fun part, that's the what I can say, that is the
Since we
sorry,
are humans.
that is what keeps things alive basically, unless and until you have some hiccups or ups and downs, you will not enjoy that entire implementation. If everything is smooth, then you will say what's happening. I mean, trust me, if everything is smooth, either everything is going right or everything is going wrong. So if there are no ups and downs, I suggest that you go back and check everything again. If everything is going smooth, it's always something going wrong. So here we have UAT. So UAT can start on after 11th. We have a 12th May. So on the 12th May, UAT can start, and cycle 1 can be completed in 1 day, or let's say 2 days. We give 2 days time, and then from 13, let's say 13, 13, 14, 15 is holiday, 16 and 17. So from 16 and 17, we start cycle 2. Now 16 and 17 is optional again. If things are good in the first UAT, no need of 16 and 17. But again, in 99% cases, it will not happen. You will have a second cycle at max, but not 3, because in the second cycle you will solve almost all the issues. So now user acceptance test is done, but we need to get one thing, that is UAT sign off. Unless and until we get the UAT sign off, we don't go ahead. Unless and until we get an approval from user that okay, all these things are right now and it is giving us the output that we wanted, we don't go ahead. Understood, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Here also, here the business users are the stakeholders, right?
Correct. So now I am adding the stakeholders over here. So 18th May is when we get all the sign off, which we will give as a 1 day. So stakeholders again. Now here again the role of developer is less over here. So here in the development we might have 4 developers, but in the UAT we might have only 1 developer. So we will have tech lead, developer, we will have architects, PM, and then we will have business users. Understood? So here the major role will be played by business users. Major role. They will be giving all the suggestions, all the changes and everything. Now once the UAT is done, user is ready to go ahead with the solution. They have accepted it. So now what can be the next phase?
I think every aspect we have covered. Is time to get party.
Yes. So now we are going for production deployment. So here we will make prod environment ready. So production environment readiness, that is one. So you will make sure that in the bot environment setup itself, when you are setting up the development environment, you are also setting your production environment. So you will check the readiness. If whatever has been set up over here is ready, is everything fine, and then you migrate your code to prod, migrate project to prod environment. So this can be it is like creating all the folders, getting all the files, input output folder, exception screenshot folder, and everything. So this is how you migrate everything to the prod. What else you think can be there?
The how to use manual kind of thing.
How to?
The process based manuals, or how to use the software, user based manuals or something,
Do's
User
and don'ts
manuals.
or
instructions.
guidelines.
Yes,
Yeah.
guidelines.
User manuals and guidelines handover, right? That we are going to hand over to them, correct? Absolutely right. And now who all can be the stakeholder over here? Now, do we need developer over here?
I think BA.
BA, okay. BA, fine. We can have BAs over here. But do we need developers?
No.
No,
Tech lead?
Do, do we need architects? No.
no.
We just
PM,
need, we need
BA
PM.
or P,
PM is
yeah,
everywhere.
PM, yeah, BA and PM.
So let's say you can have BAs, that is fine. BA is having a very less role to play over here. The major role is played by tech leads, PM, and the business users also. And for the matter of fact, you can also have a business IT team, just to make sure that everything is running smooth on environment level. Okay, so for this deployment, let's say we give 2 days. So from 18th May, so we are here on the 18th May, 19 and 20 May, we can give to deployment. Days. Now, once we have moved it to production, and now it has started running in the production environment. So we just don't make it live and leave it there. We have to monitor it for some time because it is entirely new environment. And as per my experience and as per all of experience of everyone, when you move something from your UAT, let's say your development or QC environment to the production environment, at least there can be one issue. At least there can be one issue that the UAT application that you have might be having some other selectors, or your production environment that we have, it might have some other selectors, because both the UAT test environment or development environment and the actual production environment, though they should be same, they always have some slight differences. So you will always get some or the other challenges when you deploy it in the production. So there is always a hypercare period or a smoke testing period in which your support team, the RPA team, RPA support team, continuously monitors this process along with the business users. And as soon as there are any challenges or there are any issues, we solve it immediately. Understood, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So it can be called as hypercare period or smoke testing period. It depends. Some people call it smoke testing, some people call it hypercare. So in the smoke testing, what we do is we do monitoring, then we do bug fixations if anything is there, and that's it. We don't require much. So it can be like, depending on the process complexity, it can be 1 week or 2 week. So let's say on 21st May we start this. Not 21st, it is a Saturday. Let's say we started on 23rd, or for the matter of fact, it should start on 21st because it's live. But generally we do not, let's say we do not have any schedule on Saturday and Sunday, we started from 23rd. So we started from 23rd May, and we give, let's say, 1 week, which is 5 days, 5 entire days. So that will be like 23rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 27th May 22. So this is your hypercare and bug fixation goes on. And then at the last, when we are done with the hypercare and smoke testing and everything, we have project sign off. That means your project is done, and now your business user will say that it's live and it's working. So you can say that your project sign off can be done on 27th May itself, when your hypercare period is done. Now here in the hypercare period, we have business users, we have tech leads, we have PM. And then we also have support team. Support team of developers. And in the sign off, again, we have from RPA team, we have BAs, we can have PM, and then we have business users. And that's the end of implementation. Everyone understood?
Yes, Sagar.
Enjoyed it?
Yes, Sagar.
Yep.
Yes.
So what do you think? If you have to develop any project uh, in the coming time, will you be able to create such kind of a plan?
Yep. So I think, Sagar, we are missing something at 11 point.
CRs?
We are missing something at point 11.
Change request you are saying?
Missing something.
What we are missing? Tell me.
I think our project is signed off, and we are forget to give party to our team and the entire man force.
There is no 11. Again, one will be starting.
I mean
Yeah,
that's
it's a
that
2-3
doesn't
months hard
happen,
work.
man.
That comes without
Let,
faith.
let me tell you how this project plan looks like. It's like project sign off, and 11 will be project 2, project understanding. It will be project 2 understanding, which will start from let's say 23rd May. You don't get time for party.
Yes, that's the fact.
You would never sit ideal after implementing one project. So yeah, but absolutely needed. Once it's a great feeling, right? You understood something, you understood requirement from client, and you delivered it. It's live now, and that's time to celebrate. So party to banti. I mean, it should be there, right? Even if it's not on the plan, it's somewhere there. It's in the mind of your leads, or it's in the mind of your team that okay, now we have to enjoy, and you feel great. You feel amazing when you deploy and it goes live. Maybe people from hackathon or this student champion, they might tell us more on that, because when you build something in the hackathon and it runs properly and it gives you the desired output, you really enjoy that. That is the moment where all your energy is on the higher side, all your tiredness goes away, you feel enthusiastic, you feel motivated, you feel like yeah, you want to do some more projects, you want to take a part in more hackathons, you want to take a part in more internships, you want to be on a team. Like your motivation is on a different level altogether, right?
Yes, sir. On a lighter note, only if that works.
On a lighter note, that was a good one, really good one. I mean, that's why we have a different roles in every phase, and we give them that responsibility that you have to perform this over here, and not just one person who is doing all these things. You have developers, you have BA, you have tech leads, you have PMs, you have architects, you have support team. So you can see in RPA itself, you can choose different roles. Depending on your experience, also you can be on the higher managerial side. Also, tech leads are there, PMs are there. Even the BAs require some good experience and good knowledge and good. But I can say BAs are the backbone of this process. I will say honestly, BAs and the solution designers, because on their understanding and their design, it depends whether it should work or not. And if they design it properly, if the development is done, then it has to work. There is no ifs and buts over there, or otherwise you have to make it work. There are no options over there, honestly. And what also happens is, it's not just that one project that you are working on. On 19th, when BA is done with the process understanding of this project, from 28th, BA will be on some other project. 18 to 22nd, infra is done on this project. That infra engineer will be on some other project. He or she will be working on some other infra setup project. Similarly, all your developers will be engaged from 25th to 6th May. But after that, your developers will be engaged into some other process. They might be engaged in the POCs. They might be engaged in some other things. So this also gives you good heads up for resource planning. Let's say you are a project manager and you have 5 projects going on, and you get the project implementation plan from 5 different leads. So you can allocate your resources properly to every project. Whether you need 5 developers, whether you need 2 developers, or whether you just need 1 developer. So depending on that, you can manage your resources also. So it's not just a project plan, but with the help of this, you can manage your entire account, entire RPA account, entire RPA, COE, or whatever RPA department you have.
One doubt, like whenever we got this design and other things, when we want to choose which RPA platform, whether it depends on company employee skill set, or is there any specification that the business user will give, say you have to deploy in this platform or something?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question, and I can say that success of your RPA also depends on which platform you choose, and also what is the budget you have for implementation. If you are, and what is the outcome you are expecting from the implementation of this process. If we consider UiPath, and if we consider any other tool, there can be differences in the cost, licensing cost. There can be differences for the services, like you appoint any third party for implementing this project. So what is the billing of their BA? What is the billing of their developer, solution architect? They charge per hour. So after considering all these things, they decide which tool they want to go ahead. There are open source tools also. So let's say if you want to read an Excel and put that into any web application, or just fill the information, then as a like, again, this is before implementing this, before coming to this plan. This happens during RPA feasibility study. This happens during the POC stage and all. So when any leadership person goes to the organization and they see the process, then we suggest which tool you should go ahead with. As I mentioned, if the processes are small, they are not so challenging and they do not have much exceptions, they do not need any complex handling, then we can go ahead with any low cost RPA tool. Anything to be named, like we can go ahead with I should not name anyone, but we can go ahead with anyone. And then if suppose we have a medium to large complex processes, then we suggest to go ahead with UiPath, like more established RPA platforms. And if it is, and again, if who is the organization they are building RPA, like are they small company, or they MNC, or the big company, multi-billion-dollar company? If they have a money to spend, we always suggest that you go ahead with the best platform available, because you have the money. If they are a small company, they don't have much money to spend, we suggest that go ahead with a smaller platform first, test the success of RPA, and then you can move ahead with the larger tools or bigger platforms later. So again, like, it's a good question, and there are a lot many factors that governs which platform you have to use. It entirely depends on the customer, but we give them a lot of suggestions. Okay.
Yes, sir. But
Any other questions?
Sagar, like we can integrate our process with two RPA tools like UiPath and Automation Anywhere.
Why not?
Yeah,
Like,
Blue.
I have seen RPA processes which integrates UiPath and Microsoft Power Automate. So what UiPath does is UiPath creates some report and updates it on the SharePoint, and that SharePoint has a flow developed by Microsoft Power Automate. What it does is it triggers an approver email to the user, and that user goes back to the SharePoint, checks that file, and after checking that file in the SharePoint itself, it clicks on approve or reject, and that sends an email back to UiPath robot, and UiPath robot reads that email and then performs the rest of the process. So we can combine expertise of multiple RPA tools into one. Like we can integrate Abby and UiPath. We can integrate document understanding of UiPath itself and UiPath. We can integrate some good functionalities of one bot and good functionalities of other bot. We can do that. It's just that the connector, whether it can be a file or it can be an email or it can be um, anything, you know, that connector has to be there.
It should be considered in the requirement phase.
It should be considered in the feasibility study, RPA feasibility study, or it should be considered when you are deciding which process should go to the RPA and what is the overall nature of your process. Whether it has a more functionality towards the SharePoint and all, or is it a desktop automation, or a mainframe automation, or API automation, or what type of automation it is. Like what is the maximum percentage of automation type that you are doing, and depending on that, a tool can be suggested. Now in feasibility study, what happens is, let's say I have one finance department, I have to do RPA feasibility study. There are tools available like process mining from UiPath, the tool is there. Then there are some other tools. What they do is they sit inside the system of any user, and they continuously understand what processes you are doing, and then they create some data at the back end, and on the other side there is a RPA team that checks that data, and that tool tells you whether the process is good fit for RPA or not. And it can be also done manually by going to the each person, asking them what they are doing, what is the process they are doing, is it a repetitive, is it voluminous, does it have a rule set and all. If they tell yes, then what is the complexity, how many number of clicks you are doing, how many number of files you are doing, are they standardized files, what is the output you are seeing, is that a standard output and all. So this is RPA feasibility study that happens before going into POC and implementation. And in the feasibility study itself, we decide which tool we want to go ahead with, whether it can be UiPath or Automation Anywhere or Blue Prism or OpenBot or anything. So that is how then the designing and all is getting impacted. Okay. Any other question?
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Okay.
Like you are understanding it, right? Like it's not something I'm telling you and you are not grasping it. Is it something like that?
No, not like that.
So you are understanding, right? Now you have the idea. Like if suppose tomorrow you go to any industry or any organization, and they tell you that okay, we have to start implementing this process. Now you know from where to start. Now you will say that okay, first I need to understand the process, ma'am or sir, and then you prepare some timeline that okay, give us a 2 days and we'll understand your process. After that you will tell them that okay, your process has these many applications, you require this access, and you need this data, can you please make it ready for me or ready for us. Then you start developing design, then you start developing actual workflows, and then comes UAT. And also now you have the idea, what you have to do, where you have to start development, where you have to start testing everything with user, when you have to connect with user and when you don't have to connect with user. Understood?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other comments on this? Like anything anyone wants to understand?
No,
Any other
Saga, clear.
questions? Clear to everyone?
Yes, sir, clear.
Yes.
Yes.
Let
Yes.
me stop recording.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.